am. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Looks like you are good to go. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry.
This is Crystal, chair of the Northern. Oh, not ready? Melissa, are we ready to roll?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us, particularly those of you who are following along on the live stream. This is Kate. Commission. Glad to welcome the Executive Committee to our November 5th meeting. We are beginning at 5:37 p.m. Given the ongoing public health emergency, we'll be conducting this meeting electronically. Obviously, a few reminders. Our staff did give notice and guidelines to the public. Thank you for following those procedures as laid out in our enabling legislation to meet virtually. And of course, this meeting is being simultaneously broadcast to the public on YouTube. As always, if you could mute your microphone when you're not speaking, that helps us cut down on background noise. It is for technical issues, but no public business may be conducted there. We're going to have a closed session at the end of this executive committee meeting for the executive director's annual review and other personnel matters. And I am therefore going to propose that we remove the reports from the committee chairs from the agenda tonight. We also have reports from our committee chairs on the commission agenda for tonight, which will be an opportunity to hear from our hardworking committee leaders and allow us to move through our executive committee agenda a little bit more speedily. So Kate, I'm going to turn it to you, Ms. Matthijs, to identify the committee members and call the roll.
So please respond here or present when you hear your name. So Chair Crystal.
Here.
Mr. Aguirre.
Here.
Ms. Filler-Korn.
Here.
Mr. McKay. Mr. Meyer.
Here.
Mr. Smedberg. Mr. Snyder. And then Jennifer Mitchell. Except she's spinning. I can see her on the screen. And the other staff who are present, of course, me, Kate Matthijs, and we're expecting Steve McIsaac as well to join us shortly, who's our legal counsel, and of course our web and IT manager, Melissa Walker, who's keeping everything moving tonight.
Great, thank you, Melissa. And I see Jen back with us.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so thank you to staff as well for preparing from our October 1st executive committee meeting. Does anybody have any corrections to that meeting summary? All right, seeing none, we don't have formal action. I will take the lack of comments as accepting them as presented. And then I'm going to invite Kate once more to speak and to just give us a bit of a preview of the rest of our agenda for this evening, action items, and a couple of the highlights to expect.
Absolutely. And so indeed, as I go through the agenda for this evening, we do have two items on our consent agenda. One is our routine resolution to allow us to be meeting electronically. And the other one is the approval of the report to the General Assembly on the 3% cap on the operating growth assistance of WMATA. That's something that we actually had with no comments from the commission we briefed last month. So it's on the consent agenda. Ooh. My goodness, that's not sounding very good. There we go. All right. We also do have a resolution asking approval for us to delay our budget submission. I'm going to talk about that in just a little minute. It's basically allowing some permissions to change from our NVTC bylaws. And I said I'll mention that in just a couple minutes. We do have two resolutions for commuter choice. One of which is incorporating the policy changes that were briefed to the commission last month for the I-66 and 395 commuter choice programs, as well as doing the call for projects, releasing that out so that our jurisdictions and transit agencies have a chance to apply for 395 funds. Just a note on the agenda, we did have originally have an action item related to VRE and a parking garage at Manassas Park, and that will actually be deferred for action at VRE staff request until next month. The other meeting highlights is we will be doing a presentation of the proposed legislative and policy agenda for next year, as well as a presentation on our draft annual report on the performance and condition of WMATA. That's NVTC's annual report that came from the dedicated funding legislation from a couple of years back. And then again, just like with this executive committee and the full commission, we will also have a closed session to discuss personnel matters. If I could, just to tell you a little bit about our request for delaying our budget. And so just to give you a little bit of background, according to the NVTC bylaws, I am actually to submit the proposed budget for the next fiscal year, first to this executive committee, and then over to the full commission for approval by January. And so this is January action for the July fiscal year. And one of the challenges we have this year, a majority of NVTC's revenues actually come from state aid that our jurisdictions have. And because of a lot of the economic uncertainties and of course changes to the state budget, we do expect to get some updated revenue numbers from DRPT in December that will actually be much more helpful for us in terms of developing our own budget. And so by doing so, we'll actually be able to put a budget that's got much more certainty than if we were to create it right now. And so we would be seeking approval by the commission later this evening, just to delay that about 3 months. So we'd actually start presenting things in January to this body and then to the full commission for consideration and review in February and action by March. And so that is what I have as an overview of the commission meeting. Oops, I think you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kate. And I just want to pause and see if there's any discussion about that recommendation on delaying the budget. I can tell you I've had a little time to sit with it from Kate. I'm fully supportive of it. I think it doesn't actually delay our ability for the commission staff to get its work done, but will allow us to have a better and more accurately predictive picture. But I, of course, want to just give executive committee members an opportunity to weigh in, ask questions, or signal any concerns they might before that goes to the full commission in an hour or so. So any thoughts on that budget delay issue or questions for Kate? Okay, hearing none then. So perhaps a weighty schedule, but one that still matters is our 2021 meeting schedule for the commission. So traditionally we would be talking about the November commission meeting at this month's full commission meeting. But I wanted to take just a chance and run it by everybody and see if we could work on potentially a little bit of a sticky issue as the executive committee first. Generally, we hold a February meeting in Richmond. It's a great opportunity for us usually to meet with the Secretary of Transportation, to have a great conversation with our delegation from Northern Virginia. I think it makes sense. I think we can all probably predict that we'll be in some version of virtual meetings and social distancing for COVID in February. And so I think the recommendation, or I know rather the recommendation from Kate and her team that I agree with as well, that it just doesn't make sense to conduct our February meeting in Richmond next year. I know, and Speaker Fuller-Corn could probably fill us in. The General Assembly is trying to figure out how you'll meet virtually as well. So I suspect that it probably makes sense for us to just have our regular meeting as the commission in our virtual format, perhaps less our General Assembly members as they may be tied up in committee meetings at the same time. So that's February. We're proposing, rather than meeting in Richmond in February, we do a regular meeting of the commission, and instead that we take April off from commission meetings. I don't think that we could have landed on a day with more conflicts. April 1st, my jurisdiction is usually doing budget hearings, as I imagine some of yours are too. It's also during Passover. It's the day before Good Friday. It's during the week of spring break for our county. Our staff looked at different dates in April for a possible rescheduled date. As you all know, Thursdays in particular are in high demand between NVRC, NVTA, and others. So we think it makes sense to just cancel April. So we'll have a February meeting where we usually have the Richmond meeting, and then April we'll skip. We can work on key actions in March or May. If it's absolutely essential, we'll gather. We can figure something else there. Thoughts about the proposed 2021 meeting schedule? As I said, we wanted to vet it with you all before we brought it to the full commission for a vote next month. I think we've got you on mute, but.
Here we go. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
I think that makes a lot of sense. We are in the process right now, or I'm in the process right now of trying to figure out how we're going to conduct session, and been in consultation with not just the clerk's office, but also Virginia Department of Health, and looking into a lot of different scenarios and options. But given that based on what we know and what we have heard and what the experts say, does not look like things are getting better, more challenging. I think that makes a lot of sense to have that meeting virtually and not in Richmond. And I think, yeah, your suggestion for April, given all the conflicts, makes a lot of sense.
And certainly wishing you luck. I can't imagine it's enough to manage our member body in the single digits. what you're up against.
And as you know, we have 100 members. Even the other body, is 40 senators. So it's a lot to consider. And number one, keeping everyone safe is our goal. So thanks.
All right. Any other questions? Secretary Mitchell, I know we always look forward to seeing you visit too. We'll have to settle for seeing you virtually too.
That's fine, as much as I like seeing you all in person. Hopefully, I will actually look forward to driving up 95 to see you all again soon sometime.
That's right. Maybe by the end of 2021, right?
Hey, and that's on the record. Everybody remember.
Okay, so hearing none, again, we won't bring it to the full commission for a vote until next month. So if any concerns crop up between now and then, feel free to let me or Kate know. Kate, you want to give us just a brief preview on upcoming commission activities before we head into our closed session for personnel matters?
Absolutely, I'm happy to do so. And just again, as we wrap up the calendar year, really you're getting a preview tonight of two of the remaining action items we have for the calendar year. One of which is our annual report on WMATA's condition performance. So you're going to get a whole briefing on that tonight. We'll be coming back in December for approval for that. Likewise, our 2021 state and federal legislative agenda. There'll be a briefing on that tonight coming back to the commission in December. Some of the biggest action you're actually going to see next month is related to VRE. You are going to get a preview tonight from Rich Dalton on a number of different things related to the relationship between VRE and the new Virginia Passenger Rail Authority. So there's a number of agreements as well as other contractual and other items that typically come to the commissions. They may all be coming through. So maybe a number of VRE actions at our December meeting. And the other thing that we're planning on doing in December is that our staff have been working very hard on an updated regional strategic plan for fare box technology or fare technology, especially with the new mobile app. And so we're looking forward to briefing the commission in December for approval starting the new year, which will really shape NVTC's staff activities in supporting the region on all the fare initiatives. So that is what we have all set up. I know that there had been a question whether our meeting was going to be in conflict with NVRC. I worked with Bob Lazaro and we're all good. So we continue with our date as we are going to be, they've changed their date to another time. So we do not have that conflict.
Right. And a big thanks to Bob as well as to the chair of that body, Mayor Tarter, for being willing to accommodate us. Okay, so unless there are any questions for Kate, we are going to go into closed session. So for those who might be watching on YouTube, we are going to return to open session as executive committee. And so until then, the YouTube feed will continue with a screen notice that we're in closed. The meeting is going to resume live when we get back to open session. If you have any difficulties, technical difficulties, those following along, please do keep refreshing that YouTube channel for a new feed. Commissioners, if you could stay on this WebEx link, the rest of the staff participating in the virtual meeting are going to move to the WebEx lobby, given the sensitive nature of the conversation. And then we may be asking Kate to rejoin us in closed session. So let me go ahead and make the motion to enter closed session myself, if that's all right. So pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, section 2.2, 3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission's Executive Committee moves to convene a closed session to discuss personnel matters. Is there a second?
Second.
Great, thank you. Seconded by Mr. Aguirre. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Ms. Mattice, would you call the roll for a vote?
Chair Crystal,
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre,
Aye.
Ms. Filler-Corin,
Aye.
Mr. Letourneau, Mr. McKay, Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mr. Smedberg, Mr. Snyder.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Great, thank you so much.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Are we live
Yes, we can
again?
hear you.
Yeah, for some reason my mic keeps going in and out. Sorry about that. You're good to
No
go.
problem. Okay,
Mr. Crystal,
great.
do you have what you need to open up?
I believe, yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Open session. Welcome back to the public and the staff joining us on the YouTube live stream. I'm going to make a motion to certify the closed session that the executive committee certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, with no individual member dissenting, at the just concluded closed session, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Freedom of Information Act were discussed, and only such public business matters as those identified in the motion by which the closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Matthijs, could you take the roll for a vote?
Absolutely. Chair Crystal,
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre,
Aye.
Ms. Filler-Corn,
Aye.
Mr. McKay,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mr. Smedberg,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you to the executive committee. We will see everybody at 7 p.m. As a reminder, that meeting for the full commission is on a different web live stream for the public. Commissioners, you can find that information for logging on in the meeting materials sent. And the public can find the live stream link on our YouTube channel. So again, if you might want to go ahead and get logged on a few minutes early to that commission session, especially since we seem to have a little bit of a imp in the system tonight with connectivity. So I'll see you all 2 more minutes before 7 p.m. Unless there's objection, I'm going to adjourn this meeting of the executive committee. Thank you again.